My childhood best friend lent me $3,000 in college. I paid him back 8 years ago. Now he's demanding half my apartment because his life fell apart. We grew up on the same street. Same neighborhood, same underfunded schools, same parents working double shifts to keep the lights on. Same hand-me-down clothes and free lunch programs and the quiet shame of knowing you were poor before you had the vocabulary to name it. We met in 3rd grade. He defended me from some older kids who thought my second-hand sneakers were funny. I helped him pass math when the numbers started swimming on the page. That's how it worked between us. We filled in each other's gaps. Where one of us was weak, the other was strong. We had the same dreams of getting out, making something of ourselves, becoming the first in our families to go to college. We were 10 years old when we made a pact in his backyard, dirt under our fingernails, drinking warm Kool-Aid from plastic cups. We were going to escape. Together. We shook on it with the solemnity only children can muster, and somehow, impossibly, we both meant it. And we did. Sort of. We both got into college, him for business, me for engineering. Different schools, same pride in our parents' eyes, same terror that we'd somehow mess it up and prove everyone right who said kids like us didn't belong in places like that. For 2 years, we did everything right. Called each other every week. Compared notes on surviving a world we'd never been prepared for. Celebrated every past exam like it was a miracle, because for us, it kind of was. Then my father got sick. I was 20 years old when the hospital bills started arriving. Pancreatic cancer doesn't negotiate. Neither do medical debt collectors. Within 6 months, my family was underwater. My mother was working 3 jobs. My younger sister dropped out of community college to help. And I was staring at a tuition bill I couldn't pay for my final semester, knowing that if I dropped out now, everything, the loans, the sacrifice, the years of work, would have been for nothing. I called my friend. I wasn't asking for money. I just needed to talk to someone who understood where I came from, what this would mean. Dropping out wasn't just losing a degree. It was proving that people like us didn't get to have futures like this. He didn't let me finish explaining. How much do you need? I can't ask you to. How much? 3,000 would cover tuition. But I can't. I'm transferring it tomorrow. Pay me back when you can. Finish school. Don't let this stop you. That money arrived in my account the next morning. $3,000 from a kid who'd grown up just as broke as me, who'd saved it from summer jobs and birthday gifts and probably skipped meals I didn't know about. He didn't ask for a contract. Didn't ask for interest. Just told me to finish what we started. I graduated 4 months later. First in my family. And I never forgot who made that possible. Here's the part that matters for what came later. I paid him back. 18 months after graduation, I'd landed my first engineering job. Entry level, nothing fancy, but it was enough. I transferred him $3,500, the original $3,000 plus $500 extra as interest and gratitude. He tried to refuse the extra. I insisted. We celebrated over beers, laughing about how far we'd come from that backyard pact. That was 8 years ago. The debt was settled. The friendship continued. I mentioned him in toasts. I told the story at parties. When he got married, I was his best man, and I talked about how he'd saved my future when everything was falling apart. I never pretended I did it alone. But acknowledgement and ownership are different things. The money was a loan. It was repaid. The story should have ended there. After graduation, I did what engineers do. I built things. Slowly. Carefully. Boring things, if I'm honest. I lived in a cramped apartment with 2 roommates for 3 years. I drove the same used Honda until it died at 200,000 miles. I meal prepped on Sundays and tracked every dollar in a spreadsheet that would have put my accountant grandmother to sleep. By 28, I'd saved enough for a down payment. I bought an apartment, nothing luxurious, but mine. $152,000 in a decent neighborhood. I kept building from there. Engineering career grew. Salary climbed to $95,000. I have savings now. A retirement account. Stability. Everything my parents never had. I built it brick by brick, decision by decision, year by year. The $3,000 loan was a bridge over a gap. I built everything on the other side of that bridge myself. My friend took a different path. After business school, he bounced between sales jobs, always chasing something bigger. He wasn't lazy, that's the thing people don't understand. He worked harder than almost anyone I knew. 16-hour days. Weekends spent networking. He read every business book, attended every seminar, believed with religious fervor that the next big thing was just around the corner. The first startup came when we were 25, some app one never fully understood, something about connecting local businesses with social media influencers. He explained it to me over drinks, eyes shining with that light I remembered from childhood, and even though I couldn't see what he saw, I believed in him. How could I not? This was the guy who'd given me his savings when I needed it most. It burned through his money in 8 months. I watched him spiral through denial, bargaining, depression. But he got back up. That's who he was. The second startup was worse. He leveraged everything: credit cards, personal loans, eventually his house. His wife begged him to stop, to take a regular job, to let the dream go. He couldn't hear her. He was too busy being the guy who was about to make it big. I tried to talk to him once, gently suggested maybe this venture wasn't the one. He looked at me like I'd betrayed him. "You don't understand," he said. "You've never understood. You're satisfied with ordinary. I'm not." 2 years ago, the final startup collapsed. Not slowly, not gracefully, collapsed, the way buildings do when someone removes the wrong support beam. He lost everything. Declared bankruptcy. His wife left him 3 months later. At 28, he moved back in with his parents, into his childhood bedroom, surrounded by posters of athletes and musicians he'd idolized at 15. Now he's 30, working retail, drowning in the wreckage of dreams that were never backed by realistic plans. And I watched it happen, helpless, because you can't save someone from themselves. You can only watch them run toward the cliff and pray they stop before the edge. The resentment crept in slowly. At first, he was proud of me. "My boy made it," he'd say at gatherings, clapping me on the shoulder. But as his life unraveled and mine stabilized, something shifted. Pride curdled into envy. "Must be nice," replaced "good for you." The comments started small. Some of us take risks while others play it safe. Easy to have an apartment when you never try anything big. I let them slide. He was hurting. People say things when they're hurting. But the comments kept coming. Kept sharpening. Kept pointing toward something I couldn't quite see yet. A month ago, he asked to meet for drinks. I thought maybe we could reconnect. Talk through things. Find our way back to the friendship that had survived everything else. I was wrong. We met at a bar we used to go to in college, back when we'd nurse a single beer for hours because that's all we could afford. The nostalgia was probably intentional on his part. I didn't realize it at the time. After 2 beers, he leaned forward, and his eyes had a calculation in them I'd never seen before. Something hungry. Something desperate. "I've been thinking," he said, "about where it all went wrong for me, and where it all went right for you. And I keep coming back to that $3,000. I nodded, expecting some kind of gratitude talk. Maybe an acknowledgement that he'd helped me once, and now he needed help too. I was prepared to listen. I'd been thinking about what I could offer. Maybe a loan, maybe help with a job search, maybe just a friend who would listen without judgment. Instead, without that money, you would have dropped out. No degree. No engineering career. No $95,000 salary. No apartment. Everything you have exists because I gave you that money at the critical moment." He paused, and I watched his face harden into something I didn't recognize. The friend I'd known for 20 years was gone. In his place was a man I'd never met. "I created your success." I was confused. "I paid you back. With interest. 8 years ago." He waved his hand like I'd mentioned something irrelevant. "You paid back the principal. You didn't pay back the value. That $3,000 was worth hundreds of thousands in lifetime earnings. Your apartment alone is $150,000. You owe me for what my investment produced. Not what I handed you, what it became." I stared at him. "You're saying I owe you ongoing payments? For a loan I already repaid. I'm saying I deserve half your apartment. At minimum." His voice was steady, reasonable, like he was explaining something obvious to a child. "Without me, you have nothing. With me, you have everything. I want my share." He lent me $3,000 when I was 20. I paid back $3,500 when I was 22. That transaction was closed for 8 years. Now he wants my apartment because the loan created my success. By that logic, my mother deserves half my salary for giving birth to me. A gift of opportunity isn't an equity stake in someone's life. I almost laughed. "You want half my apartment because you lent me $3,000 a decade ago that I paid back with interest?" He didn't flinch. "It's not about the $3,000. It's about the opportunity. I gave you the opportunity to exist as you are. Every dollar you've earned, every asset you've built, I'm the root of that tree. The tree owes the root. That's insane, I said. That's genuinely insane. By that logic, I owe my kindergarten teacher a percentage because she taught me to read. I owe my parents' obstetrician for delivering me. He got angry then. Really angry. Don't mock me. I'm broke. I'm living with my parents. My wife left. Everything I tried failed. His voice cracked, and for a moment I saw my friend again, the scared kid from our neighborhood, the one who'd given me $3,000 when he had nothing because that's what brothers do. But then his jaw set. And you're sitting on an apartment you wouldn't have without me. I'm not asking for charity. I'm asking for what's fair. You're asking me to fund your failures with my success, I said. That's not fair. That's delusion dressed up as justice. You always thought you were better than me. Always the careful one. The smart one. He was almost spitting the words. Well, careful didn't help you when you were about to drop out. I did. And now you owe me. He said he invested in my future. An investment expects returns. A loan expects repayment. I repaid. If he wanted equity, he should have asked for equity. Instead, he asked for $3,000 back. He got $3,500. The terms were met. You don't get to renegotiate a decade later because you're losing. I saw what was happening. He'd rewritten history. In his version, my entire success flows from that one $3,000 loan. In his version, my decade of work, discipline, sacrifice, none of that matters. Only the loan matters. It's a way for him to claim my success while explaining away his own failure. I would have succeeded too if I'd kept that $3,000. I gave it away and look what happened. A comforting lie that makes him a martyr instead of a man who made bad bets. He said, I created your success. He gave me $3,000 to finish one semester of college. I created 8 years of work after that. I created the discipline. I created the savings. I created the career. He created a bridge. I crossed it and built a city. The bridge doesn't own the city. I spoke carefully. That $3,000 was the most important money I ever borrowed. I've said that publicly, repeatedly, for 10 years. I'm grateful. I always will be. But gratitude doesn't mean ownership. I paid you back. The transaction ended. Everything I built after that, I built with my own hands. You didn't make those choices. You didn't do that work. You didn't earn that money. I did. He just stared at me. You were a bridge, I said. But I'm the one who crossed it and built everything on the other side. He shifted tactics. His voice went cold. If you don't help me, I'll tell everyone what kind of person you are. The guy who forgot where he came from. Who stepped on his best friend to climb up. I'll tell the story differently. How you used me when you needed me and discarded me when you didn't. You mean you'll lie? I mean I'll tell my truth. He smiled, and it wasn't friendly. And people will believe me. Because I'm the one who's suffering. You're the one with the apartment. Who do you think gets sympathy? He followed through. Within a week, he'd told his version to everyone we knew. I gave him $3,000 that saved his entire future, and he won't help me now that I'm struggling. Simple. Sympathetic. Devastating. His version leaves out the repayment. Leaves out the interest. Leaves out every other time I helped him. He's telling people I abandoned him. The truth is I paid him back 8 years ago and kept being his friend until he demanded my apartment. He abandoned reality. I just wouldn't follow him there. He didn't mention the $3,500 transfer 8 years ago. Didn't mention the job referrals I'd written for him over the years, 3 different companies, all of which would have hired him if he'd been willing to take a regular job. Didn't mention the smaller loans, all repaid, when he was between ventures. Didn't mention the nights I sat with him after his wife left, listening to him cry, saying nothing, just being there because that's what brothers do. The narrative was clean. Rich friend abandoning poor friend who once saved him. Some people believed it. And I understand why. His story is emotionally satisfying in a way the truth isn't. It has a clear villain and a clear victim. It confirms what people want to believe, that success is luck, that failure is injustice, that the system is rigged against good people who take risks. My story is messier. It has nuance. It requires people to accept that someone they like made bad choices. Nobody wants to hear that. I told the truth to anyone who asked. Showed them the bank records, $3,500 transferred 8 years ago, memo line reading, repayment for college loan plus thank you. Listed every other way I'd helped him over the years. I keep the receipt. $3,500 transfer, dated 8 years ago. Repayment for college loan plus thank you. It's in my files. Proof that I honored my debt. Proof that he's lying. But some people don't want proof. They want a story that confirms what they already believe, that success is luck and failure is injustice. I can't argue with a story. I can only keep the receipt and know the truth. Some friends saw through it. They knew me. They knew my character. They asked questions, looked at evidence, made their own judgments. Others didn't. They heard an emotional story, suffering man, ungrateful success, abandoned friendship, and chose their side. Our friend group fractured. 20 years of relationships dissolving over a lie about a debt that was paid nearly a decade ago. I lost people I'd known since childhood. That was the cost of standing firm. He asked how it's fair that I have an apartment and he doesn't. Same neighborhood. Same schools. Same starting line. But I saved while he gambled. I built while he bet. I chose boring stability while he chased exciting destruction. Fair has nothing to do with it. Consequences have everything to do with it. I met him one last time. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to try one more time to reach the friend I used to know. Maybe I needed to say goodbye properly, even if he couldn't hear it. We met in a park near where we grew up. The same park where we used to play as kids, where we'd planned our futures and dreamed about who we'd become. It felt right to end things where they started. We were brothers once, I said. Real brothers. I don't understand how we got here. We got here because you have everything and I have nothing, he said. And you won't share. I paid you back. With interest. 8 years ago. That was sharing. What you want now isn't sharing, it's ownership. You want to own my success because yours didn't happen. I can't give you that. Nobody can give you that. You have to build your own. Something shifted in his face. For a moment, the anger broke, and I saw exhaustion underneath. Fear. Desperation. The look of a man who's tried everything he knows how to try and watched all of it crumble. The look of someone who's run out of stories to tell himself. I can't build anything, he said quietly. His voice cracked, and suddenly he wasn't the angry man demanding my apartment. He was the scared kid from our neighborhood, the one who used to have nightmares about ending up like his father, working a job he hated until his body gave out. Everything I build falls apart. I don't know why. I work harder than anyone. I try harder than anyone. And it just falls apart. He looked at me, and his eyes were wet. And I look at you, same neighborhood, same parents, same start, and you have everything. How is that fair? I wanted to hug him. I wanted to tell him it would be okay. But I couldn't lie to him, not about this. It's not about fair, I said. It's about choices. I chose stability. You chose risk. My choices worked. Yours didn't. That's painful, but it's not my fault. And it doesn't entitle you to my apartment. So that's it. His voice cracked. 20 years of friendship and you won't help me? I've helped you for 20 years. What you're asking for isn't help. It's sacrifice. You want me to pay for your failures with my success. That's not friendship. That's consumption. He stared at me for a long moment. I watched something close behind his eyes, the last door between us, swinging shut. The friend I'd known since 3rd grade, the boy who defended me from bullies, the man who'd given me $3,000 when I needed it most, he was gone. And I don't think he's coming back. Then he walked away. He didn't say goodbye. Neither did I. 20 years of friendship ended over a lie about a debt I paid a decade ago. He rewrote our history to make himself a martyr and me a villain. That's what failure does to some people. It makes them need someone else to blame. I was convenient. My apartment was tangible. My success was the proof he needed that the world was unfair, not that his choices had consequences. He tells everyone now. I'm the ungrateful friend. The guy who forgot where he came from. The guy who stepped on his best friend to climb up. The lie grows, evolves, becomes truth in certain circles. I know the truth. The people who matter know the truth. But it still hurts. It's been a year now. I still have the apartment. Still have the career. Still have the life I built. He's still at his parents' house, still working retail, still telling anyone who'll listen about the ungrateful friend who abandoned him. We haven't spoken. I doubt we ever will again. The $3,000 that once bound us together has become the lie that keeps us apart. I sometimes miss who he used to be. Before failure turned gratitude into entitlement. Before comparison poisoned what was real. before he needed someone to blame more than he needed a friend. I wonder sometimes if I could have done something differently. If I'd seen the resentment building earlier, could I have stopped it? If I'd been less successful, would he still be my friend? These are the questions that keep me up at night, and I know they don't have good answers. I found the receipt last week. I was cleaning out old files, the boring administrative maintenance of a careful life, and there it was. Bank transfer confirmation, 8 years old. $3,500 to my friend. Memo, repayment for college loan plus thank you. I stared at it for a long time. $3,000 that saved my college career. $500 extra as gratitude. A debt honored. A friendship built on mutual respect. That was real once. Before failure made him hungry for more than he was owed. Before gratitude stopped being enough and ownership became the demand. I remember the day I sent that payment. I remember the relief of finally being able to repay him, of closing that chapter with interest and gratitude. I remember thinking that our friendship had survived the hardest test, that we'd be brothers forever now. What a naive kid I was. I put the receipt back in the file. I don't throw it away. I might need it if his lies spread further. I hope I won't. I know I might. He was my brother when we had nothing. We dreamed together about escaping the neighborhood, building something, becoming someone. We shook hands in a backyard 20 years ago and promised to make it out together. We did it differently. I built slowly, he bet big. My way worked. His way collapsed. And somewhere in that collapse, he decided my success was his. That the $3,000 he lent me a decade ago, repaid with interest, entitled him to half my apartment. Half my life. Half my future. That's not how debt works. That's not how friendship works. That's not how anything works. He wanted me to pay for his failures with my success. When I said no, I became the villain in his story. The ungrateful friend. The guy who forgot where he came from. But I know where I came from. I came from the same place he did. I came from the same streets, the same struggles, the same dreams. I just made different choices after that. Every day for 10 years, I made choices he didn't make. Boring choices. Safe choices. Choices that built a foundation instead of rolling the dice. Those choices built my apartment. Those choices created my career. Those choices are mine, not his. He gave me a bridge once. I'll always be grateful for that bridge. It was the most important $3,000 of my life, and I'll never pretend otherwise. But the bridge doesn't own the city I built on the other side. It never did. It never will. The receipt is in my file. The truth is in my life. And the apartment stays mine. Because gratitude has limits. And those limits are exactly where entitlement begins.